Okay, I'd like to call to order the Urban Design Commission meeting for Wednesday, March 9th, 2011. We'll begin with roll call.
Douglas Gasek.
Here.
James Dougherty.
Here?
Jim Sawhill.
Here.
Andrew Garsha.
Here.
Jeff Dinwiddie.
Here.
Thomas Tiber.
Here.
We'll move on. There was no minutes in the package. We'll move on to special order business. First, are there any disclosures?
On the consent agenda, item B for the Providence sign variance. I had initially been recused when it was on the regular agenda because my wife's employed with Dowell as a drafter. So I just wanted to disclose that.
So I think that poses a little bit of a procedural problem for us because I was planning on abstaining. The guidelines are a little bit gray in this area. The board has already taken action. They've already moved to approve the case. My understanding of our role here in approving the resolutions, it's like approving meeting minutes. We're approving the wording, the language of the resolution. We're not, the action has already been taken and has already been approved, and so this is forming the official record. So it's really not clear as to whether or not actions that would cause a conflict for taking action also constitute an action for us approving the resolution. So, and we don't seem to have clarity on that. I guess I would sort of, given that sort of set of instructions, do you feel that there's a conflict?
I would feel comfortable with not abstaining because, given that it's been resolved and it's just a matter of memorialization.
Okay, and I guess I fall into the same category. So perhaps
I guess in the original hearing, then, we voted on whether you had a conflict of interest, didn't we?
Yes.
And we voted that you did have a conflict of interest, and you were excused from participating in that
Yes.
case? And I think the same for you, James. You are also excluded?
Yes, I guess the point I'm making is that the language of the statute says that you need not attend the hearing to be able to vote on resolutions. So even if he was absent, even if he wasn't even a board member, the way is clear for him to vote on the resolutions because the resolutions are sort of acting as the record of that action. They're not the action itself. So that's where the gray area exists. And I guess I would feel comfortable if we had a motion to direct Mr. Tiber to participate or a motion to direct me to participate based on this instruction of what the purpose of the approval of a resolution would be as opposed to taking action on the motion.
But I believe traditionally people that have not participated in the action do not participate in the resolution. Isn't that correct, Madam Secretary?
That is correct, that traditionally people who were conflicted out or were not present abstain. However, there is kind of a caveat to that, even in my research that I've done, which is set up when there's a problem with quorum or we have a smaller membership on the board than normal. They would not have had to attend the meeting or listen to the audio in order to vote on the minutes or to vote on resolutions.
And with only 6 members on our boards now, how many are required to pass a resolution?
5.
Still 5?
Yes.
Well,
But if people are conflicted out, then that number goes down.
It does, but our number is based on a fully constituted board of 9. And that's,
So if 2 are conflicted out, then we would have 7, and half of that would be 4. Is that correct?
I have to check. I have to verify that. Hold on. You are correct. Based on a fully constituted board of 9, with 6 members present and 2 conflicts of interest, the revised full membership would be 7, and 4 votes would be required to pass the consent agenda.
we have 6 here. If 2 of us are conflicted, you still have the required 4 votes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so Two separate motions to direct Commissioner Tiber to participate. It's been moved by Commissioner Sawhill, seconded by Commissioner Dinwiddie. We use our voting buttons.
I guess to speak to the motion, Mr. Chair, I do not intend to support the motion. I think
Correct. And just for clarity, we always make our motions in the affirmative, even if we intend to.
directed him to participate, but he had a conflict in the original hearing, and I think he should not participate in the consent agenda item.
Okay, I don't have the voting. Okay. It's time to vote. A negative vote would be for him not to participate. A positive vote would be for him to participate. And that's everyone, so you will not be participating in that vote. And then I would entertain a separate motion for myself, again, using the same logic. I was conflicted, voted that I was conflicted out of that same case. So we would look for a vote to direct me to participate. That has been moved by Commissioner Sawhill and seconded by Commissioner Gassick. And now we need to vote. And
Are you speaking to that one?
Again, Mr. Chairman, just to speak to that motion, I do not intend to support the motion. You had a conflict in the original case, so I think you have a conflict now.
Okay. That's the way that works. The motion fails. Any other disclosures? The second item on the special order of business is March is the month for the annual election of officers. And I believe the only officers are the chair and the vice chair. So I guess the protocol would be to accept nominations for...
Mr. Chairman, can we move this to the end of our agenda and take our cases up and then have a little more time to try to convince others to be officers?
Okay.
Do some arm twisting.
What do we need to do? Move to the end of the agenda? Just say, let's move to the end of the agenda, and that's done.
Change the order of the day.
Yeah, we'll change the order of the agenda. We'll take that up after the consent agenda. So we'll move on now to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Commissioner Gassick, seconded by Commissioner Dinwiddie. Any objection to passing? Hearing and seeing none, it passes. I'm assuming that we are both abstaining, so that's the requisite 4 votes. So now we move to the annual election of officers. Mr. Sawhill, did you have something that you wanted to say in the way of arm twisting?
The only thing I wanted to say, Mr. Chairman, is I would just encourage other board members to I guess, step up and take a shot at being either chair or vice chair. I think boards are strengthened by sharing the workload and kind of trading off the chair positions. I think boards that have the permanent chairman or vice chairman end up a little stale, and it's generally the chairman doesn't get an opportunity to speak very much during a case, and I think there's some expertise that's sometimes lost in that role, and it's nice to have it available in the discussion or debate of a case. And I guess speaking from personal experience, I think it's good experience for a person to learn how to run a meeting and learn Robert's rules, and there's a little bit of personal and professional growth in taking one of those positions and stumbling through it. And Jill never lets us fall too far, so we're in good hands from that standpoint. So that's all I wanted to do is I would just encourage others. I know I've only been on a board a relatively short amount of time compared to some of the other members, and if they're interested in doing some kind of leadership role, I would just encourage them to speak up take that on. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And, I would echo what you've said, and I'd also stress that although I'm perfectly happy to continue to serve in whatever capacity, my term on this commission expires this October. So it would be more streamlined, if nothing else, that if we did have a new leadership that could carry us into the new year at least. So, any other discussion? Any nominations?
Come on, Jeff.
We have a cheat sheet.
No nominations.
Very quiet. Mr. Chair,
Open speech, too.
I'd nominate Jeff Dinwiddie for vice chair.
On that note, I think you're supposed to self-nominate.
Oh, is that how that works?
Funny. That's fine.
Do you accept
Yeah,
that? So that's vice chair. Any objections to Commissioner Dinwiddie serving as vice chair? Hearing and seeing none, that issue is settled. Any nominations for chair? You're on the hot seat.
Mr. Chair, I thought that Mr. Sawhill at one point in time expressed an interest. Is that still the case, or?
I guess it's one of those, I would be willing to serve as chair. I think I would go on record saying I'm only going to do it for a year. I'm not going to do it much longer than that, again, because I think it's important to rotate through those positions. And seeing that someone else has stepped up to vice chair, I think I feel a little more comfortable in stepping up to chair, and that would be fine. I would have no problem serving as chair, but again, I'm going to do it for a year, and then I'm going to step aside and give someone else a chance. So,
Okay.
just wanted to let everyone know that that's how it's going to roll.
Well, and that's true to what you've expressed earlier. It gives me a chance to participate in a different capacity, which would be great for my final few months, and give you a chance to step up, but also putting others on notice that they're expected to step up as well. Any objections to Mr. Sawhill being chairman? Hearing and seeing none. Congratulations, Mr. Chair. Do I step away at this point and
No.
have a ceremonial gavel passing? And
I think at this point, if you could just finish out the agenda and say there's nothing else and look for a motion to adjourn, I think we're good.
do we have anything else?
There's
Let's
enough
take it.
damage done tonight.
Jill, what do you got?
Just a quick question. I had some feedback. IT asked for any feedback you might have on the Granicus system, whether there's any, other than regular user bumbling kind of things, whether anybody's had any problems with any time lags or something not being right on the monitors in front of you at all?
Yeah, I had a huge problem in the last couple of meetings. My screen didn't come up and
Oh,
let me see any motions or...
wait a minute. Are you sure you don't, or did we fix that?
Well, it seems to be fixed this time, but it wasn't fixed last
I
time.
remember one meeting where you couldn't see any.
We have, anytime that there's a problem before I leave, usually that before I leave, I go in and send an email to Tom Berg so that he can deal with it and check it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time trying to get it to boot up in showcases, and
Right.
it didn't seem to...
Right, and they have had some technical difficulties, I do agree. What the Assembly's been experiencing, I guess, is actually time lag in even the voting screen coming up, as opposed to my not getting it started, because
Yeah.
on time, taking a second to move out of one screen and into another, theirs actually is experiencing a delay for things to even pop up on the screen. So I will take that feedback back to Mr. Berg and let him know that that was really the only concerns that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, That was it.
Anything else for the good of the commission? Motion to adjourn? So moved. Any objections? Seeing none, we're done.